start then. So I'm gonna play first video again. I don't know how to synchronize them yet. And then in here we can start with play as well. So my camera is moving on in here because I'm marking the first points where I want to be looking at in the future, my hotkey cameras. And so this is like an enhanced version of what do we call it, of a minimap. It's very similar to the minimap, right? So you can see how I'm moving the camera. As I was saying before, it's not 15.5. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less events. But yeah, it matches now and then. So you can see, for example, here that I am sending a drone to take the second base. And as I'm moving my my camera, it should also follow this. I think I am out of sync a little bit. I'm gonna pause the video just for 1 second because I'm waiting for the event to catch up. So I can see, for example, here how my friend looks at things. I jump between the hotkeys to see that, you know, the cameras are set properly. You can see, for example, there's a little delay on when the spawning pool was started. And then I am starting to send around some scouts. You can see how my camera moves here when I'm doing scouts. And if we look at the targets, my camera has been moving in this area here, targeting positions. So when we target a unit, it appears, yeah, there. So let's look into what information is available. So for example, I can see here that this is a drone. This is another drone. Maybe one of these is an overlord. There are mineral fields. For example, this is a geyser. These are the Selnaga towers. There are more minerals. So these minerals here in the map can be seen as these white spots. And then one thing important is that in Starcraft 2, the AI events are not going to be recorded. So for example, well, this is what I believe so far. If a drone is mining, for example, the event of it being mined is not recorded because I think the AI has an action for it. So for example, you can see here that all the drones are static. So if we zoom here, we can see that all the drones are static. In reality, we know that they are mining, but they are not stored in the replay. I don't think it is needed, and because yeah, basically I think it's a deterministic game. So, well, yeah. Again, I'm using words as if I knew what I was doing, but you know what I mean. It's so far this is what I think is happening. So you can see both of us are looking into this area. We are looking at the scouting positions. We are looking at what they're doing, and you can see, for example, here that we find the robotics facility. These events are not related to what we are scouting. These are events that, yeah, the robotic facility started at some point in time. It's not really related to our scouting. Basically, it doesn't really matter if we scatter it or not. It will appear in our replays. And by that I mean that we can find events in time in which something happens. So for example, if we want to know when a unit was born, we can see, for example, that this mineral field was born in this event here. And if we want to see when a unit has died, we can also find it over here. But right now, I think the deaths start around, yeah, a little bit later. Of course, I just moved the mouse, so I've lost track of where I was. But I don't think it matters too much anymore. So maybe what we can look at is how the game or the deaths, for example, we're gonna have some fights in here. My friend is throwing some nukes here. And one of the reasons why I wanted to create this is that sometimes it is tricky to understand when there was a huge event, like a lots of deaths, for example. So I thought my initial thought was doing this with Swarmy, where we could try to find what is a moment in which there was a lot of activity. So if we look, for example, here, there were 403 messages or 550 messages here. And here there were, yeah. I think this might be the moment where he's dropping the nuke. Let me move it over here. I think, what was it around here? Yeah, but for example, so one of the things I want to see is that, for example, if there is an event such as this, that lots of drones are killed or lots of units are killed, generally a caster or not the caster, the viewer would little by little follow the players and try to determine when some event is going to happen. But in this case, I want to show something that like a signal that something is happening. So for example, it's like a helper for casters where they do not really have to follow so much. They will know that at some point in time, although it's not very easily to see here, at some point in time there will be an event where a lot of events will happen, a lot of deaths, for example, in this case. So right now I'm just showcasing the deaths, but yeah, there are other yeah, for example, you can see here all the deaths of the fights that we have in this area. And if I scroll through the video, there was a moment in which we were fighting around that area here. So I think my friend was throwing some nukes from here. And then the main focus of the fight was in this area, and you can see here that there is a huge area here of red. And you can see here that this is where all these units have been dying. Not everything is collected yet. I have yet to mention, for example, when a unit dies, what is the name of the unit and who killed the unit. And then also when a unit has a target that it should go in the future to a specific location. This information is also there, but it's not stored yet. So these are the crypt tumors, for example. Here you can see how I'm trying to show some, throw some tumors around. When a unit dies, sometimes it appears yeah, in these locations that yeah, sometimes, I don't know, I may not be doing this properly, but I think this is because one of the mineral fields was depleted for the gases. This is the painting nest actually. Oh yeah, this is something else as well. When a unit is transformed, for example, when a drone from the Zerg is transformed into a hatchery, there is a death event. So for example, in this case, there is a unit that died to become the mailing nest or to become the structure of whatever, right? So that is something that that it was interesting for me to see. Or also, for example, that the minerals are units. So if you remember, for example, here there were a lot of white, a lot of blue minerals before. So you can see here how the minerals are dying. If we focus on this area here, the minerals are being mined little by little. If I ever manage to zoom, what is this? This violet thing is a position. Oh yeah. So if we focus on this area here, this is the main hatchery where I started, which is basically this bottom right corner. And here, all these minerals here, initially they are very healthy. You can see here, for example, if we scroll back a little bit more, they show more and more. And little by little, these minerals are going to be depleted. I'm going to start mining them. So there will be events in which they become red, which means they died. So to me it was fun to see that a mineral field can die. And that is a unit, and also there's a bunch of other units around. If we go back for a second into the 3D version, maybe we can see the Z parameter being used as well. So I don't really know how to move this very well. So what I wanted to see is if I find the overlords, but I think the overlords might be in here. Let's get the unit back, because I know that at some point I was able to see the overlords, but now I forget how I was able to find them. 3D camera. So what are we looking at here? This is a target unit. No, I don't think those are. Let's look at here. 3D camera. So what are these? These are. Nope. I don't know where they are. So let's look at the. I'm gonna put this all together, and I'm gonna look at the players. Sorry, not the players. The player statistics is what I want to look at. Let me get rid of this again into the 2D zone. I'm going to move the unit into this tab as well. And then can I increase the size of this? So what we're looking at here is the statistics of the players in terms of collection rate of different things. So for example, what is the amount of food that has been made or that has been used by each one of the players? I'm not completely sure yet what it means to make food, but these are the graphs that we also see in Starcraft 2. For example, what is the, yeah, I don't know, I think there are many more than I was aware of. For example, the friendly fire, how much the economy I have destroyed by mistake. Maybe a drone didn't get it back to the hatchery or something like that. And then there is also the amount of minerals that are being used by the creation of the current army. That is also something that is visible. However, I'm not sure yet how I have to split the data to show this kind of stuff, because for example I would like to show the amount of workers only, because right now we're seeing food made, food used. Maybe these are such low values. Yeah, I mean, use current minerals and so on. This maybe I should not log the food ones, but you can see, for example, here that there are 23 drones for me, and little by little this number is increasing. So this seems to be like a regular update. And the idea here is that even though it doesn't look very much here, these little dots, they are actually more like this, right? You see that it does little jumps depending on the amount of data available. But in what I would like to see here, for example, is if the amount of drones is higher through time, that this should also look a little bit higher. So in this case, because yeah, I think the food use ruins the range of values that we could see, and so the values are so small that they cannot really be perceived. So one thing that I wanted to also see if it was possible is that if we can parse something like that. Actually, we can parse the depth of any unit. For example, we could say, hey, in this event or in this time, we could create something that I think I would call it like an oracle. in the sense that it can see the future, and it could say something like, in the future, in time frame X, there's going to be a death of 12 drones in this area, for example, right? So similar to the death one. So this player, because it is also so fast, it could be being used by the casters, and they could say like, focus the camera on this region because something is going to happen in maybe 10 seconds or something like that. Or we could also find like, hey, because the statistics that are collected, you could see like, hey, I don't know, this much gas was destroyed in this fight. So what happened? And then you could go and see like, specifically on this section over here, there was a disruptor ball that destroyed this many minerals. Yeah, so this is I think this is what I wanted to show, and I find that it was incredibly easy to use rerun. I'm very surprised by the UI and how easy it was to just throw data and see it working. I think I was struggling with Bevy a little bit because I didn't really know much about it yet, but the speed that it is working with, you can see here how I can move around through the time frames. It is just blazing fast, and being in the browser as well, I think if I manage a way to upload the MPQ somewhere, it will be cool if nobody has to run the binary itself, but I did have to run the binary, basically cargo run, to generate the RRD file. And also I'm not really sure what is going on with the WebSockets. Let's find out actually. How do we get the I need to get the developer console, browser console. What is going on with the... Yeah, I need to find the inspector, but I think there wasn't thingy. Oh yeah, I know what to do. I can do it here. So we move it outside of the browser. Oh, separate window. And then maybe here it will show. No, it doesn't do it. I'm gonna refresh this and see if in the process of refreshing it, if I can right click. Yes. Okay, so I'm not sure what is being transferred between the client and the server. Too many open files. Okay. Let's rerun this. Interesting. Too many open files. Okay. That's a good thing to know. I guess I'm also reaching some sort of limits because of the amount of data. But you can see how fast it is. It is really, really amazing how incredibly fast this can be using WebGPU, WebAssembly. Yeah, it's beautiful to see. So let's see what are the WebSockets talking about. There's some binary information being sent. 2009 has been truncated to conserve memory. There's a lot of data here. Rerun point 3D components. Yeah, it has its own way to transfer data from servers. So what it means to me is that even if I use a web-only version, I still need a server to host this port and to transfer the data back and forth. Maybe there's a way to run it standalone. Yeah. Well, let's see the performance metrics. What is this? Oh, there we go. We have some CPU time and memory being used. Yeah, I think that concludes what I wanted to look at today. I was really impressed by the guys from Rerun, so super cool project they're building. I hope I can learn to use it a little bit better, and maybe next time I can give a nice update, maybe add some pictures of either drones or whatever it is that is happening, maybe the overlords, or any other unit. But yeah, I think it was super cool to see how easy it was to send this data. It was amazing. Alright, that's it for today.